Both sides of the gun debate played out yesterday. In Washington, D.C., thousands of demonstrators took to the National Mall demanding tougher gun control laws, including a ban on assault-style rifles and high-capacity magazines. And in suburban Atlanta, potential gun buyers lined up outside a local gun show to stock up in case Congress does approve some new restrictions. Joining me now, Senator Dianne Feinstein. Thanks, Senator, for being here. And what's been a really busy week, and will be a really busy week for you with these hearings opening up. I wanted to play you first something that Senator Joe Manchin, Democrat from West Virginia, a man you know very well, said to us last Sunday.
Assault weapons standalone ban on just guns alone will not, in the political reality that we have today, will not go anywhere. It has to be comprehensive, Candy. And that's what I've tried to tell the Vice President, and I've told everybody. It has to be a comprehensive approach.
So you have Senator Manchin saying, look, this has to be more than a gun ban. We have Senator Harry Reid, the majority leader in the Senate, saying, I just don't think this is going to pass, and he doesn't want to bring up something and waste time if it doesn't pass. The president's first major speech out of Washington this term is going to be immigration. So what I'm wondering is whether you feel this has been a rhetorical priority. I wonder if it's a legislative priority.
Well, let me say this. This has always been an uphill fight. This has never been easy. This is the hardest of the hard. Now, will it only be assault weapons? No, most likely. There will be a package put together. If assault weapons is left out of the package, and I'm a member of Judiciary, #2 in seniority, I've been assured by the majority leader I'll be able to do it as an amendment on the floor, which is the way I did it in 1993. So that doesn't particularly bother me. What does bother me is I've seen weapons spawned and grown and now in the hands of younger and younger people over these years. I think you reach a point, as I said earlier, where enough is enough. Do military-style assault weapons belong on the streets of our cities? And the answer, according to the United States Conference of Mayors, according to Major Chiefs of Police, according to the largest police organization in the world, is absolutely no. So we do have support. Don't mistake it.
But you would concede that in the United States Senate, the assault weapons ban in particular is a very tough road, because it's not just Republicans. As you know, you have fellow Democrats.
Because the NRA is venal. They come after you. They put together large amounts of money to defeat you. They did this in '93, and they intend to continue it. Well, the opposite can take place,
or do they just disagree with you? I mean,
I beg your pardon?
Is the NRA venal, or do they disagree with you on a matter of policy?
The NRA has become an institution of gun manufacturers. This morning, on the front page of the New York Times, I was reading about the program now to provide weapons and training for youngsters from 8 years old to 15 years old. And this is supported by the gun manufacturers. In other words, here is a whole new group of people that we can get these weapons to. They just don't happen to be adults, they're children.
Children with guns, certainly in terms of sport and hunting, is not a new phenomenon in a lot of places. The NRA would say, listen, we train them. We want to make sure that people who have guns know how to use them. But I wanted to ask you about the NRA, and in particular, I wanted to just sort of, this is Wayne LaPierre, as you know, is one of those who's going to fight you tooth and nail on this, and a couple of things he's said over time.
Politicians pass laws for gun-free school zones. In doing so, they tell every insane killer in America that schools are the safest place to inflict maximum mayhem with minimum risk. Politicians have no business and no authority denying us the right, the ability, and the moral imperative to protect ourselves and our loved ones from harm.
Wayne LaPierre is coming before the Judiciary Committee. He'll be one of the witnesses. What are you going to ask him?
Oh, I don't know at this time, but you can be sure I will have some questions for him. I actually debated him, I think, on CNN and other channels back in '93, '94. I know his position. It has never changed. What has changed in this country is the continued use of these weapons. When we had the first mass shooting in 1966-67, the Texas bell tower. I thought this is just an aberration, but it hasn't been. And the malls, the theaters, the businesses, the law practices, and now the schools. For me, Sandy Hook was an epiphany. Sandy Hook, I realized that a woman who had guns, who kept them, I assume, in a respectable area, she also had a son, and that son quite possibly was mentally disturbed. He got a very powerful weapon, and he went out with that weapon, and he killed 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds. I understand with 3 to 11 bullets in each of their bodies, with a weapon that had the velocity of which could really rip these bodies apart. That should not be able to happen. Now, this was a young man. He apparently knew weapons. He knew how to use weapons. He chose to use them against the most defenseless. Here's a question. Does government have an obligation to protect those children? I believe we do. I believe we do.
Just a quick question on this. I want to ask you on a couple of other subjects, and that is, could you see your way clear to a school security program, or to saying, listen, I do think there maybe should be armed guards at some of these schools?
Of course, and there are. 1/3 of the schools in America today have school guards. There were 2 at Columbine. They couldn't get to the shooter. And that's the problem with this thing. Having school guards really isn't the whole answer. The more you have these weapons, these military-style weapons, that with a single slide stock on the AR-15 can be made fully automatic, the minute you have that in, like, the Sandy Hook killer's hands, you have a devastating weapon.
Let me move.